degree. Last weekend was cold. It's nice today. It's like a 62, 65 degrees. Not even 3 days ago, it was 0. The wind chill of like negative 24. But yeah, hopefully this nice weather we're going to have for the next few days, get this Trans Am done. Get her done. Alright, continuing from the last video. I'll put some paint up in here too. I got these holes drilled for the Turbo 400 cross member. I got all 4 on the bottom. And I got the 2 at the top that the cross member goes through. And then I got 1 at the top here the cross member goes through. I haven't got all the bolts started. I just need this one at the top. And I've got to hit that one perfect. I actually hit those 2 perfect. I missed this one. I started... Oh, and I drilled those with this bit right here. This hole saw. It did tear it up, but it went through there. 4 holes. And then you got to buy this attachment. And then this drill bit came with the attachment. So I just started a pilot hole with a small drill bit. And then with this all together, and this just clips all together. This clips in here. And then that slides in there, and it all clips together with this. But yeah, then it just drilled, and it drilled right through there. And then I used a small bit and guessed, measured and guessed. I hit those other 2 dead on, but this one, I missed it a little bit, saw where the drill was coming out at, and made adjustments and drilled the small hole again, but I was using a really small bit, like this one right here. So, got to do that one more time right here. Then we can bolt all that up. Alright, there we go. We're all bolted up on every side. I tried to do that hole with a Dremel. Once I got it that big though, I couldn't use the hole saw. So that one's a little bit smaller than the rest. And I did have to adjust this piece over as far as I could. I had to pry on the transmission. I don't know why, but everything's offset to the passenger side a little bit. It was like that with the Turbo 352, but there's plenty of room for a drive shaft. Plenty of room. Alright, that's going to do it for that. I'm gonna put the trans brake solenoid back in the hole up here and run some wires from the top to it. And the trans brake solenoid's in. It's pushing in and out just like it should. Whoa. That spring in the valve body. And I took the overflow line back there. Hopefully that don't, I'm gonna zip tie that. Because if that pops out and gets caught in between here, the trans brake won't engage. Yes, yes. Alright, I got a few more pieces of puddles. Transmission fluid. I got 12 quarts. 10 quarts of oil, because his holds about 7. It's got one of them deep oil pans on it, and some coolant. I always buy the concentrate and mix it myself. It's cheaper to do it that way. I bought some 6-gauge wire, some wire loom, oil filter, and some fittings to go on the 6-gauge wire. So what I'm going to do is I ran the battery cable to the starter. I haven't put a nut on it yet. So what I'm going to do is come off the alternator, come down in front of the header into the starter. And then I'm also going to come off the starter with another 6-gauge wire and run it up. I'm going to either run it up here or I'm going to run it inside the car. It'd kind of be nice to have something like that inside the car so we could, you know, hook up any power we need to. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to finish everything underneath the car. I'm going to get those wires on there. I'm going to drain the oil, take off the oil filter, zip tie that line for the catch can so it don't interfere with the trans brake. I'm gonna go ahead and put the spark plugs and spark plug wires on, and then zip tie everything back that needs to be zip tied back away from the header. And then I can go ahead and put the car on the ground because I can work up in here better because I'm short and fat, and reaching up in this thing with it on those blocks isn't easy. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right, there I put both of them on the starter stud. I'll run one out the back. It's just chilling out up here. And I ran the other one up here and tightened it up. So now, and then I took the trans brake wires and I used that slot that the dipstick was actually supposed to go into, and I stuck the wires down through there. So that's that. So now I can get under there, put the bolt on, and put that other wire on that goes to that top one sticking out there. That's the one that actually triggers the starter when it sees 12 volts. Yeah, I can drain the oil. Hopefully I can get everything done from the bottom, and we can put spark plugs in and run some spark plug wires. Yeah. Alright, starter bolts all tightened up. I tightened them up in a manner that nothing's hitting nothing. I'll have to do some zip tying back there. But alternator's hooked up. And then this wire's just hanging out here till we figure out where we want to put that power block. And then I got the trans brake all hooked up. Got it all zip tied out of the way. Also got the battery on charge because this thing has to charge on the slow charge. It's one of them AGM batteries. Draining the oil for an oil change. And got the solenoid all ran and zip tied up. Also zip tied it to that top transmission line. Zip tied it there so the wires don't come out of the loom. And that should work. And I zip tied that overflow line back behind the trans brake solenoid so it wouldn't jump up, and if it jumps up and gets caught in that groove right there, it'll keep the trans brake from going on, which wouldn't hurt anything. It just wouldn't. You'd think he was going on the trans brake and you'd take off down the track. But yeah, that's where we're at. Next, I think I'm gonna put the spark plugs and spark plug wires on, and then I'm gonna get down under there and zip tie everything up. But first I'm gonna do the oil filter and put the oil plug back in. My dog wanting to play fetch as always. I spend more of my time out here playing fetch with him than I do working on the car. I took the oil filter off. Make sure when you take the oil filter off, this rubber seal comes with it. Sometimes it'll stay on the motor. And if you do, and you put that up there and do what's called double sealing it, it will leak. You don't catch it in time, you'll blow your motor up. Fill this up with oil. You fill it up, let it seep down. Fill it up, let it seep down until you get it pretty close to full. Make sure to lube up your rubber seal with oil. And when you put these on, you put them on hand tight. You don't use a wrench when you put these on. Though when it gets hot and gets cold, it'll contract and expand and contract. Yeah, and it'll actually tighten itself up. But yeah, hand tight. Oh, and just so you'll know, these things will hold about a quart of oil. I put the oil plug back in it. I put the oil filter on. I give it 7 quarts of oil because it's a 7-quart pan. I checked it on the stick. It's looking good. I went ahead and put 8 quarts of transmission fluid in because I know it's going to hold 8 to 10. And as I was doing that, I put in the spark plugs, the spark plug wires, slid the header gasket in. I had the front and rear bolt in, And these header gaskets have that groove in the front and back, and you just drop it in, put the bolts in. I got all those tightened up. I ran the spark plug wires up to the cap. 18436572. The one's in the top corner, and it's just clockwise. 18436572. Just like that. Now, oh yeah, and while I was doing that, I was making sure nothing leaked. And there are no leaks. So that's good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get under the car. And I'm going to zip tie all the, make sure all the spark plug wires are back where they need to be. Not up against the header. And then make sure the lines I ran for the power block off the starter, make sure those aren't going to be up against the header. Zip tie all that back. Zip tie the transmission lines back away from the header. And yeah, then we can set it on the ground. Start working on the power block and wiring for the trans brake. Alright, we're pretty much back down on the ground. Now I can get into it a little bit better. I'm going to push it. My jack don't fit under there. The car has too much travel. So to jack it up to put it on them wood things. Because if you try to do one side, then the other side, I don't like how it twists the car. So I jack it up and I put it on those blocks. Put that under there and then put the jack on the cross one and do both sides at the same time. But I'm going to push it back, take that board out, because I have to have that board to get it high enough. Take that board out, push it off, and that'll even get me down lower, and then I can push it back forward where I need it. But yeah, that's going to conclude this video. The next video is going to be, we had everything wired to the back of this alternator. You can see all the wires down there. So I'm going to put a power block probably about right there, this thing right here. That's why we ran that extra wire down to the starter. And then we'll wire all them wires that we had going to the back of this alternator. We had that thing stacked up. And this stud came loose. They come loose inside there. I tightened it back up. It's good now. But yeah. And then I'll go over how I'm going to do the relay for the trans brake. So the relay and the trans brake and the nitrous cannot come on both at the same time, because if you're on the nitrous on the trans brake, that's going to be a bad thing. Now, some people do that to like spool a turbo, but we're not spooling a turbo when we're spraying 250, 300 off the line, so we don't want that to happen. So I think I'm going to put it right there. That'd be a good spot for it. And they're just wanting all the wires up to it. And then the relay for the trans brake, I can just put it right beside this one, or I can put it way down there and just use that bolt that's holding the HVAC lead in. But yeah, that's going to be the next video. It's New Year's Eve, so I just want to say Happy New Year, everybody. Like and subscribe, and have a great day.